Air Combat is the non-Japanese name for the first game of the Ace Combat series. Released in 1995, Air Combat is a war crimes in the sky simulator, complete with planes, dogfights, and helping enemies deal with their lives. As an Ace pilot, you must shove down the missiles of democracy down your enemies' collective throats as you fight through 17 stages of pure aerial action. Originally, I was severely skeptical about the game and the entire franchise. If I were to commit war crimes, I'd want to do it with my own bare hand. But after sitting down and playing the game, I realized I was a complete and utter moron. There's a beauty in expediting your enemy's meeting with God in heaven, a liberation with flying high while using every weapon available in your arsenal, all in the name of fighting a war against terror. As someone who is experiencing this game for the first time but has questionable video game tastes, let me try to explain why you should join me in raining down bullets from above the horizon. Como todas las locuras, comienza con una historia. In the beginning, there was nothing, and then God said, let there be planes in video games. So, in 1993, an Oriental company released the arcade game Ea Combatto. It was so successful that after a few sequels, they thought, hey, we could make a console version out of this. They bit off more than they could chew, so in 1995, they released a different version of the game but with the same name because 90s video game naming conventions. And depending on the version you like, subscribe, and ring the bell to, you get an authentic, amusing, and absurd breakdown of the game's plot. You play as the leader of an elite team of mercenary fighter pilots who are tasked to strike down several hotspots and enemy units. A war on terror so bad that NATO forces have failed on all fronts. Sounds cool, right? This is what it says on the back of the case, and it's utter bullshit. The real story takes place in the Strange World universe. Yes, this is what it's actually called. The island nation of Uzia has been seized by a group of rebels who have successfully overthrown the government. Trying to save face due to their gross incompetence, the Uzian government hires the Scarface Squadron mercenary group to deal with the rebels. Led by Phoenix, the squadron has to go through branching paths that have no impact on the story whatsoever. 17 stages of pure, unadulterated, and riveting aerial gameplay, filled with objectives such as destroying the enemy, destroying targets which are owned by the enemy, protecting a target by destroying the enemy, and traveling through tight corridors to destroy targets that are owned by the enemy. Finally, after dealing with all the various objectives, the final stage involves you fighting against a gigantic air fortress capable of showing you the meaning of lack of existence. This amazing and engaging boss fight puts you to the test, demanding an application of what you've learned throughout the game, as you destroy targets that are part of the enemy. I'll be frank, the story is not a strong aspect of this game. It only has a fifth of the franchise's craziness without the endearing characters, the bizarre voice lines, or the logically questionable plot elements. It's not even the focus of this game, unlike the sequels. So instead, let's talk about the real focus of this game, the mechanics attached to enacting your armed transgressions. Air Combat provides multiple avenues in performing your martial atrocities. One of these is the controls. Air Combat has two control schemes, Novice and Expert. Novice is an arcade-style control setup that focuses on ease of play, making the game easy to pick up. Expert is the same thing, except it provides full control of your plane's turns, making it easier to dab on your enemy. Regardless of your pick, getting used to the controls is critical in ensuring the mission's success and your own survivability. That said, if you think for one damn second that choosing the Novice control setup is in any way acceptable, it is, man. It's a video game, don't worry about it. Air Combat has a surprisingly large amount of planes in its hangar. These include, but are not limited to, each plane has their own strengths and weaknesses shown through its stats. While other players would meticulously pick their plane for a specialized military operation, I just chose the aircraft with the best stats. So, I don't really know if the stats mean anything. What I do know is that planes serve as your life counter. Lose a plane and you lose a life, until you buy the plane again. More on that later. Another topic of interest is the plane's arsenal, of which there are two, a frontal machine gun and a lock targeting missile. While the game packs an absurd amount of ammo, this doesn't mean you're allowed to waste taxpayer money. Out of the two, the missiles will be your best companion, as it's the easiest way to dispatch enemies. Enemies are varied between stages. You have different types of battle planes, battleships, and battle stations. Regardless of their variety, most enemies take about 2 missiles before they meet an explosive demise. But above all, enemy deaths are tied to air combat's monetary compensation system. A successful mission means money, but taking the time and effort to accelerate your enemy's transition to the 9th dimension means extra money. Therefore, you are passively encouraged to let your enemies find out the tangible meaning of explosive warhead. With the money earned, you use it to buy more planes, which you unlock after each successful mission. And as mentioned previously, more planes equals more lives, meaning more continues. Or you can spend your hard-earned cash on a fucking wingman, an NPC that's supposed to assist you during missions. They are one of the most worthless NPCs ever. They're so useless they make From Software's passive storytelling seem like aggressive anecdotes. It's like their main purpose is to siphon from your own growing federal reserves. It's insane. And speaking of insanity, the game's music is absolutely amazing, at least for the first game in the series. It has enough blood-pumping rhythm and beats that I immediately forget about the console's audio limitations. As soon as the synths and guitars kick in, I know that it's gonna be another great day for some aggressive aerial adventures. The same can't be said for the voice lines. At first it was okay, but later on, it made me want to blow my brains out. It's some of the most repetitive shit in this game, which is ironic considering the mission objectives. The same can be said for air combat's graphics, which is basically washed out polygons. Usually, I don't mind early 3D graphics because I'm a PS1 shill, but when said visuals have caused me to die by accident multiple times, all because it's difficult to gauge visual depth in a game where depth and distance is vital, yeah, I'm gonna grumble about it. And speaking of grumbling, the UI is great when I'm on first person mode. All of the essential details are there. However, they seem to have f***ed up with the third-person view. I love how in a camera angle that makes it slightly easier to check your relative distance to everything, the developers have decided to forsake all of the details aside from the ammo count. There's a reason why they fix it in the sequels. Frankly, I didn't expect anything from Air Combat. I thought it was going to be another game in my severely questionable gaming library. Imagine my surprise to experience a game that sets out to do one thing and do it right despite some flaws. It's been a while since I've had some mindless fun. It's actually refreshing. Go fucking try this game. Despite its age, it was an absolute blast. However, I'll also acknowledge that the game might be archaic even for the series standards. Just because we want to do some soldierly conflict doesn't mean you should force yourself to work within the boundaries of an honestly old game. Feel free to skip this one for the second game, which actually has Ace Combat in its name. Now with all that said, I shall proceed to binge the entire franchise. Missiles will not stop. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi there, if you like the content, consider leaving a like and subscribing. If you want to hear my thoughts, follow me on Twitter at KenAthomos. Link is in the description. Take care and stay safe always.